after I left school, I had to do the army. I had to do my 18 months national service, and I was exceedingly lucky. I managed to get a commission as a very, very junior officer, and I spent 15 glorious months here. I was lucky in that just after I joined the army, the Korea War broke out, so I could have gone there. I could have also gone to Indonesia to fight the communists, but what happened? 15 months in the sun here. And of course it wasn't strange, it was very different because it was totally military. I was in the Royal Artillery, and we had three regiments of Royal Artillery here. I don't know why. And then we had the other service corps, the engineers, and then also the Air Force, and of course the Navy were always here. The Mediterranean Fleet, the Home Fleet came out once a year. We had the American Sixth Fleet. So in fact it was party after party after party, and it was great fun. Great fun.
And what were your responsibilities whilst you were here?
Well, I was responsible for a sort of a troop. In the Royal Artillery, you had what you would call three companies. Well, we call them batteries, three batteries, and two batteries were based at Casemates, where of course all the restaurants are today, and one up in Moorish Castle. And our officers' mess was at Orengo's Palace, which doesn't exist today. I believe it was the old German consulate, but we lived there in great comfort. And I think one of the most appalling things, looking back on it, that at the age of 19, as a mere boy, you had what they called a batman, who cleaned your boots, made your bed. Now, it was wonderful at the time, but looking back on it, I think it's an absolute disgrace. But I enjoyed it.
What are some of your most poignant memories of your time here in Gibraltar?
Well, of course, the biggest moment was the Bedenham explosion. You know, when they were unloading the ammunition ship, and it blew up and caused, I think it was 12 deaths, was it? Something like that. And I see in my diaries there that the damage was tremendous. The windows all over were blown in. Even on a mess at Orengo's Palace, the windows were blown in, and the cathedral windows were all blown in. I've got photographs of it, and it was terrible. And we spent days afterwards. Everyone was recruited to clear up, and that brought in the most amazing situation. We were clearing up a lot of debris, shells, bombs, all littered all over. We put them in a great big hopper barge. And I met a man who was, like National Service, who was a midshipman on a ship called the Lockdown Vegan. And we became great friends, and we all helped clear up, and we put the stuff in this hopper barge. And it was eventually towed out to sea to dump. It was one of these barges where they could open the bottom, and it was so dangerous that we were towed out in a tug. I was on the tug, and this marvellous midshipman was left on the barge, and it was so dangerous that they let it go in case it blew up, and he was there on his own, and he had to twist the thing round to open the bottom, and of course it all fell. It all fell, thank God.
Are there any other events that really stick out in your memory?
Well, the frontier, of course, was quite different, as you well know. There were two frontiers, as you know. They had this no man's land in between, about 200 yards. So they had a Spanish frontier and a Gibraltar frontier. And we did a guard there. I took the boys down. They spent about 4 days there. The funny thing was, I was in charge of the gate, and it was quite extraordinary in those. I've got photographs of it, and the frontier gate was nothing more than a damn big iron farm gate, and it had a padlock and a chain on it, which I locked every morning when I was on duty there, I think 1 o'clock in the morning, and slept with the key under my pillow, and then it was opened again in the morning. Occasionally we had to keep it open. I remember once getting a message the governor was coming through, he'd been to Madrid, would we keep it open till 2 in the morning, and that's the sort of thing we did.
So what do you think when you see the frontier now operating so differently?
24 hours a day, floodlights, oh, it's an absolute scream. And of course, the funny thing, if you locked it at 1 o'clock and people were partying, as people did in La Linea, and they were locked out and they had to stay the night, I think a lot of them crept round the sea and came in, but I remember certainly people hammering the door and saying, we're locked out, you can't come in. It was fun.
I believe you documented everything in diaries whilst you were here in Gibraltar.
I don't know why I did it. I've never kept a diary in my life, but I enjoyed it so much I thought I would do. And I've been reading it the last few days, and it is quite extraordinary, the things I forget about that happened here. One little thing, I mean, we didn't have phone calls in those days. Nobody had a mobile phone. And people were prolific letter writers. I was always getting letters from home, from girlfriends and this. And I was regularly getting requests. I think we still had probably clothing rationing at home. I think we must have had, because I used to get request after request for nylon stockings. We couldn't get them at home. And I was forever sending them to my mother, to my sister, to aunts and girlfriends. You know, there's little things like that. I'd forgotten all about it, but they're all in the diary there.
And what do you plan to do with these diaries? Anything?
Oh, just keep them. They're no use to anybody else at all. It's just memories. Just
Very
memories.
interesting ones.
Yeah, but I've never kept a diary in my life since or before.
And all these years later, what still brings you back to Gibraltar every year?
We love it. I had such a good time. We come down memory lane. My wife doesn't walk very well and I don't walk well, so we don't go, you know, we go up the rock and so on and wander around a bit. And on other visits here, I've been on tunnel tours, which I find fascinating. Because in my day, we used to have passes. We could go anywhere we liked. And one of the things we used to do was come to Sandy Bay, probably on a Sunday afternoon. There's nobody there at all. Sandy Bay there was nothing, and go swimming. Occasionally we'd go across the border, but the other thing we did was go to bullfights. I don't think, I'm told there's not a bull ring in La Linea now. I'm told so. I don't know. There may be. I don't know. But we used to go, and it was most amusing because thousands of troops would go over, British troops, and what did they do? Cheer for the bull. Oh, it was great fun. And the other thing I did enjoy, I was quite a good rugby player, and I remember playing for Combined Services Gibraltar. And I remember one famous match we played against the home fleet. And of course you don't play here. We went across to, was it Campamento or somewhere in Lanley, somewhere like that. And one amazing match, I think we just lost. But we went on a bus. There were no facilities for changing over there, so we all went clothed, carried our shoes or boots, and went over there and played the game and came back and the bus had gone. And for some reason it was impounded by the Spanish because a previous driver of the bus had had an accident and they wanted to sort it out, so as punishment. So what happened? We had to walk all the way back, carrying our boots back through the border like idiots. But